Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedom and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country. In the courtrooms of America, Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedom.
The Obama administration is pushing diversity, and according to the Obama administration, silence on this issue is not even an option. Hi, I'm Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel. Joining me is Shawn Akers, vice president of Middle Eastern Affairs for Liberty Counsel. And together we're going to be talking about what's happening in this Obama administration. It's not just in the Department of Justice, which we've reported on recently, but it also includes all the other agencies as well. And it can be traced back to 2009. Shawn, when President Obama appointed so-called LGBT czar to enforce and push LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, etc. issues in all of the federal agencies, issued a press release to that effect. And then in August of 2011, issued an executive order, and it's entitled, the title speaks for itself, Establishing a Coordinated Government-Wide Initiative to promote diversity and inclusion in the federal workplace. Diversity and inclusion, two different words meaning two different things. Now we're starting to see this in reality hit the various agencies.
And you're pointing that out, Matt. We are discovering exactly what they meant. Words mean something. And when they drew the distinction between diversity and inclusion, we're just now beginning to see what that means. That diversity, in many senses, was bringing people of separate backgrounds together. Now we're finding out through this policy, this public policy, that silence is unacceptable, that inclusion means that you will toe the party line in these particular instances.
Yeah, we've already reported on the Department of Justice, and you have sort of this silence is not an option campaign, and that is meaning that if you remain silent on lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender issues, not that you're saying anything against them. You could be completely neutral on the matter, not say anything negative, not say anything that would be derogatory, and that's not enough. What they want you to do is affirmatively affirm homosexuality, lesbianism, transgender, all kinds of deviant kinds of sexual behavior. They want you to affirm that particular behavior, and if you are silent, then they will consider that to be something contrary and therefore violative of the policy, and your job is in jeopardy.
Matt, this also points out just how important modern presidential elections are in a very real sense. Normally, we wouldn't think of the USDA as being a force in culture, but as it admits in its newsletter, talking about changing its internal culture, that we're seeing the difference between law and public policy. An administration, as you just pointed out, announced a particular public policy toward LGBT issues, toward making the United States LGBT friendly. Now, what we wouldn't have really expected is something like using the USDA to accomplish those goals. But we're seeing almost every branch of the bureaucracy of the United States being used to accomplish some piece of that perspective.
Yeah, we reported on it at Liberty Counsel with regards to the Department of Justice. And when we did that, we had more Department of Justice employees speak up saying that they're afraid of their jobs. And if they even speak up or don't speak up, some other benefits are being taken from them. Then, of course, because that went public, we've gotten people from the USDA, the regulatory agency on USDA issues. And they've got a newsletter, and it's called USDA's Cultural Transformation Action Items. Now you have to ask yourself, this is a United States, Drug Administration, this thing that is, you have the USDA seal and a USDA approved kind of meat or whatever it might be. Why would it have a cultural transformation newsletter? I don't get it. I mean, this is dealing with things that have nothing to do, supposedly, with cultural transformation, and they've got a newsletter, and it's got USDA's Cultural Transformation Action Items. And on the very front page of the most recent one, well, this is April 2013 newsletter, it's got upcoming USDA special observance. It's in all bold caps right there. And what is it? It's the LGBT Pride event that's in June that they're promoting on the very front page of the USDA newsletter.
Matt, it looks like that USDA stamp of approval doesn't mean what it used to. It used to go on the foods that go out. Now it appears to go on the employees coming in, that you have to abide by a certain political point of view, a certain ethical point of view, a certain social point of view to maintain your good standing with the USDA.
Well, and here on page 2 of this newsletter, the front page is about the homosexual agenda in June, which is happening all over the federal government. On page 2, it says USDA participates in, quote, Great Spirit Moon, close quote, traditional powwow. So they have these powwow, they have the Indian dancers and so forth. They're participating in this Great Spirit Moon. They talk about the spirits here in this particular section of the USDA. Can you imagine if it would be the USDA participates in some tent revival of a church or an evangelist? There would be uproar. But here they're participating in this event. They're promoting the homosexuality, sexual anarchist event, and they're intimidating employees if they don't participate, not if they just remain silent, but if they don't affirmatively come out and do some active participation, then their job is in jeopardy.
You know, Matt, you and I have talked about the wholesale shifting of an entire society many times. And we've talked about Saul Alinsky and the ways that those Alinsky tactics are used to shift a society. And one of the things that we've mentioned many times in the past is that to bring about a revolution, a cultural revolution, a quiet revolution in a nation, you have to do away with the former foundations of morality, which in our case has always been the Judeo-Christian worldview and the Christian religion. And what you're seeing played out in these instances is a political wing, a political party in the United States willing to use even the most basic levels of bureaucracy not to do their jobs, but to engage in a culture war to tear down the icons of the past. It's called iconoclast, to tear down the past foundations for morality in the United States and to replace that with something new. And you see it here in prime fashion.
And this is coming directly from President Barack Obama. They touted the fact that in 2009, right after the election, he was going to appoint someone whose sole job in life was to promote the LGBT agenda in all of the agencies. We've seen it happen in the DOJ, the Department of Justice, the USDA. We see, for example, in the DOJ, the brochure that's being passed around that says, "Don't remain silent. Silence will be interpreted as disapproval." I mean, that's stunning. And now we're seeing it also in the FBI. We're seeing it in the CIA. They have websites or web pages that specifically are asking to have people that are LGBT apply, that it's a very LGBT-friendly organization. Essentially, I think what we have in this administration is an LGBT affirmative action program across all of the agencies, silencing anyone to the contrary and forcing them to actually affirm. This is the most outrageous violation of conscience in the First Amendment that I've seen within any federal agency, to force people's conscience to affirm something that historically has been, and according to natural law and certainly biblical revelation, is unnatural, immoral, and unhealthy.
You know, on any front, this would be an extremist move, Matt. And to put it into context, at the very same time that they're trying to walk it back now, but it hasn't been but just a few weeks ago that the U.S. military told us that you may actually be court-martialed for sharing your faith in the U.S. military, that now we see just the opposite of that working within one of the bureaucratic arms of this government, you may very well face some sort of bad outcome if you don't publicly endorse their line on this LGBT issue.
Well, we need to have investigations and we need to have continual pushback, and that's what Liberty Counsel and our sister organization, Liberty Counsel Action, are doing in tandem in different ways. You can go to libertycounsel.com and sign petitions. You can also learn more about what Liberty Counsel and all the various ministries are doing to help advance our religious freedom, the sanctity of human life, and the family all over this country, from the local all the way to the United States agencies and departments. Go to libertycouncil.com, sign the petitions, make sure you get on the email list right there as well. You can also go to lc.org. That's Liberty Council's main website, lc.org, and sign up for the Liberator newsletter, the Liberty Alert email, and also the Grassroots Action email right there on the website as well. I also encourage you to get the book David Barton's Original Intent. It's a great book overview, the history of this country and the founding principles that make America great. It's those very principles that this administration is trying to undermine. Stand with Liberty Council in your prayers and your financial support.
You have been listening to Faith and Freedom with Liberty Council. We hope that we have motivated you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedom. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email updates. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.